Now today, before we start anything, I want to let you know that you will need something to write with and something to write on. Just like yesterday, we're going to practice working with flute sounds through dictated words. That means I'm going to tell you the word, you're going to write it down. So you need something to write with and something to write on. Got it? Good. Let's start with our Hello There song. My turn. Hello there. How are you? It's so good to see you. We'll sing and be happy. We're all here together again. Very nice. All right, guys, 2 days ago, we started reading the lovely book Stella Luna by Janelle Cannon, and we stopped on this page where our friend Stella Luna was really tired. She fell asleep hanging by her thumbs, and she heard the soft sound of wings coming near. Before we start working with Flute Sounds, I thought we'd finish our book. Sound good? All right, let me turn this a little bit. Here's Stella Luna, feeling kind of sad. You'll remember she was in the nest with her friends, and now she's all alone. She hears some wings. Hey, a loud voice said. Why are you hanging upside down? Stella Luna's eyes opened wide. She saw a most peculiar face. I'm not upside down, you are, Stella Luna said. But you're a bat. Bats hang by their feet. You are hanging by your thumbs, so that makes you upside down, the creature said. I'm a bat. I am hanging by my feet. That makes me right side up. Stella Luna was confused. Mama Bird told me I was upside down. She said I was wrong. Wrong for a bird, maybe, but not for a bat. She found another bat. More bats gathered around to see the strange young bat who behaved like a bird. Stella Luna told them her story. You ate bugs, stuttered one. You slept at night, gasped another. How very strange, they all murmured. Wait, let me look at this child. A bat pushed through the crowd. An owl attacked you? She asked. Sniffing Stella Luna's fur, she whispered, You are Stella Luna. You are my baby. She found her mama. You escaped the owl? Cried Stella Luna. You survived? Yes, said Mother Bat as she wrapped her wings around Stella Luna. Come with me and I'll show you where to find the most delicious fruit. You'll never have to eat another bug as long as you live. But it's nighttime, Stella Luna squeaked. We can't fly in the dark or we will crash into trees. We're bats, said Mother Bat. We can see in darkness. Come with us. Stella Luna was afraid, but she let go of the tree and dropped into the deep blue sky. Stella Luna could see. She felt as though rays of light shone from her eyes. She was able to see everything in her path. Do you guys know the word for animals who move around and do most of their activities at night? Nocturnal. Bats are nocturnal too. Soon the bats found a mango tree, and Stella Luna ate as much of the fruit as she could hold. I'll never eat another bug as long as I live, cheered Stella Luna as she stuffed herself full. I must tell Pip, Flitter, and Flap. The next day, Stella Luna went to visit the birds. Come with me and meet my bat family, said Stella Luna. Okay, let's go, agreed Pip. They hang by their feet and they fly at night and they eat the best food in the world, Stella Luna explained to the birds on the way. As the birds flew among the bats, Flap said, I feel upside down here. So the birds hung by their feet. Wait until dark, Stella Luna said excitedly. We will fly at night. When night came, Stella Luna flew away. Pip, Flitter, and Flap leapt from the tree to follow her. I can't see a thing, said Pip. Neither can I, yelled Flitter. Aye, shrieked Flap. They're going to crash, gasped Stella Luna. I must rescue them. Stella Luna swooped about, grabbing her friends in the air. She lifted them to a tree, and the birds grasped a branch. Stella Luna hung from the limb above them. We're safe, said Stella Luna. Then she sighed. I wish you could see in the dark, too. We wish you could land on your feet, Flitter replied. Pip and Flap nodded. They perched in silence for a long time. How can we be so different and feel so much alike? Mused Flitter. And how can we feel so different and be so much alike? Wondered Pip. I think it is quite a mystery, Flap chirped. I agree, said Stella Luna. But we're friends, and that's a fact. And that's the end. There's some back notes, but I won't read those because it's time for us to work on glued sounds. Here we go. Now, friends, yesterday you might remember that we practiced glued sounds doing the letter keyword sound. That was half the stack. This is the other half. So today we're going to work on these glued sounds. It will be my turn first, then you'll repeat. Ready? Here we go. I-V-E, give, if. My turn. O-L-T, colt, olt. I'm trying to ride a horse for colt. My turn. O-L-D, cold, old. I-N-D, find, eind. That's the sign for find. My turn. I-L-D, wild, isled. I-N-K, pink, ink. Beautiful. My turn. O-N-K, onk, onk. Honk, honk. My turn. U-N-K, junk, unk. And our last glued sound, O-S-T, post, oast. All right, let's get started with our learning target. Make sure you have something to write with and something to write on. And jumping right into our learning target, let's get started. Help me read, please. I can write words with glued sounds. I can write words with glued sounds. Let's start with what we do, which goes in the box. This word is write. I'll draw a writing tool for write, because you're going to write along as I tell you the words. The word for that is dictate. Your job will be to write words with glued sounds. Like one of our glued sounds from just a minute ago when we were practicing letter keyword sounds was O-S-T, post, oast. Another glued sound from yesterday was A-L-L, ball, all. Glued sounds are just where the letters come together and they always make the same sound when they're together. You ready to write? Then you're ready to rock and I'm ready to roll. Let's do it. All right, scholars, you ready to write? Me too. The first word I want you to write with a glued sound is scold. Scold. Like if you get in trouble, someone might scold you. Like say, oh, I'm not sure you should have done that. Scold. All right. This word starts off with a blend. The first letter in that blend is S. Like S snake, S. But the second letter is a little trickier. The sound is k, k, k. But what do you know about the sound k, k, k? It can be spelled lots of different ways. Here it's spelled with C, like C, cat, k. The blend is SC. What is the glued sound in the word scold? which is spelled O-L-D. O. Oops, I made a mistake. Sometimes people write the wrong letter, but you know what? I can fix my mistake. No big deal. Boop. L-D. There we go. Scold. And the O-L-D, glued sound, I can put in a box. And I remember that O-L-D, cold, old, is our letter keyword sound. Make sure you wrote and drew the box on your paper just the same way I did. S-C-O-L-D, scold. Beautiful, moving on, let's do another word. Wishy-washy. Okay, our next word is most. I love many dogs, but I love Javi the most. Did you write the word most? Great. If you haven't written the word yet, follow along. I know the first sound in most is like M-man, M. And then what's the glued sound in most? Ost. How do you spell the ost glued sound? O-S-T. O-S-T. Now draw a box around the glue sound. Yeah, and we know from our flashcard that O-S-T, post-ost, is the glued sound. Boop, 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 boop. There it is. Make sure your paper looks like mine. And I'm going to erase in 3, 2, 1, and 0. Moving on. Take a second to think, how are you doing with these glue sounds? Are they tricky? Are they easy? Do you need more practice with them? They can be kind of tricky. That's why it's good we're working on this together. Our next word is child. Before I grew up, I was a child. Did you write down the word child? It starts with a digraph. Let's start at the beginning. What digraph says ch, like in child? CH, like CH, chin, ch. I'll start with that, CH. How do I finish the word child? With a glued sound. This one's I-L-D, I-L-D, and it says ild, like I-L-D, wild, ild. Wild and ild even rhyme because they sound the same at the end. Now draw a box around the glued sound. Does your box look like this? Double check, make sure your letters and the box looks like mine. And remember, this box shows that ILD is the glued sound. It says ILD. Give you 3 more seconds and then I'll erase. 3, 2, 1, 0. Next word. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy. And it's clean. Bing. Your next word that I want you to write with a glued sound is very tricky. Olive. Like the food. I like to eat salty olives. Are you writing the word olive? And here we go. I'm going to start with the glued sound. Now it happens at the end of the word, but this one's really, really tricky. It is IVE, like in give, if. That's going to go at the end of the word olive. Tricky, tricky. Now, I can use my short vowel sounds to finish the word. What starts, or what is sound is at the beginning of olive? Ah, like O, octopus, ah. That's my first sound, but I'm still missing a sound in the middle for olive. What sound's missing? Ooh, like L lamp, ooh. Now let's check to make sure we have all of the sounds in olive, because remember, we started, I can even draw a box around it. We started at the end of the word with that glued sound. Here we go from the beginning. Say the sounds with me. Ah, ooh, if. Olive. Olive. Did we get all of the sounds in the word olive? Ding, ding, ding. Yep, I think so. Ends with the IVE glued sound. That was a tricky one. Let's do another. Wishy-washy, wishy-washy. And our next word is bolt. Sometimes when I draw a stormy scene, I'll add a lightning bolt. Are you done writing the word bolt? Okay, even if you're not, let's do it together. The first sound I hear in bolt is b-b-b, bee. Like bee bat. B. What's the next sound? In fact, it's a glued sound in the word bolt. Did you say O-L-T, like O-L-T, colt, olt? Nice. Yeah, olt and bolt both end with the olt sound, a glued sound. Let's add that. O-L-T. And then please circle, or I'm sorry, draw a box around a square for the glued sound. Does your paper look like this? Boop. I hope so, because O-L-T, as we know, is olt. That is our glued sound. Let's wishy-washy and do one more. Last one. You've been doing great. Stay with me. You gotta use that brain power. Your last word is grind. Sometimes I don't want to crush my ice. I want to grind it into a smoothie. Really quickly, we're going to do grind. It starts with a blend. It says grr. What blend says grr? That's the GR blend. Grr. And then what is the glute sound you hear in grind? Did you say IND? It's IND, like IND, find, ind. Then please draw a box around the glute sound. Remember that glute sound is IND. Here it's grind, and. Thank you for finishing all of those flashcards for glute sounds. We practice writing the words, and I hope you have a safe weekend. I hope you read. I hope you have fun and play, and I will see you next week. Bye, scholars.
Hi friends, it's Miss Wagner teaching you second grade math for the summer. Make sure that you have a pencil and piece of paper ready for this week. We're going to be working on that story problem like we do on every day on the fourth day. with using all the strategies that we have talked about already. All right, so get ready. We're going to go ahead and go over our learning target first today. Please read it with me and thinking of your I knows and wonders. All right, ready? I will be able to add and subtract tens and ones within a story problem. So again, your I know probably would be add and subtract. You can explain that to somebody. From this week, tens and ones might also be a I know. And story problem might be a I know or I wonder. But remember, a story problem is just telling a story using math, and then we have to use math to solve it. That's all right? So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our warm-up when we do our story problems is just looking at those 3 questions. Because when we do a story problem, we always have 3 questions that we're going to go ahead and focus on. So the first question, please read it with me, is what is the problem about? Right? What is the problem about? When you're reading the story problem, what's happening in the story? What is the problem about? Pretty basic. If this problem is talking about dogs going to the park, the story problem is about dogs going to the park. What are you trying to find out? So, next one is, what are we trying to find out? And that's usually the question right at the end when they ask you how many dogs went to the park or how many dogs left the park. That's usually what we're trying to find out. And then your last question is, what information is important? And that's one of the most important questions because that's where you're going to circle if you're going to be adding or subtracting or in all the numbers that you're going to be working with, because that is all the important stuff. You're going to need those numbers, and you're also going to need those words that help you tell you if you're going to be adding or subtracting. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, let's read these problems one more time. Oh, these 3 questions, right? We want to remember them. So read it with me. Ready? What is this problem about? What are you trying to find out? What information is important? All right, now you read it. All right. Don't worry, I'll bring this right back so we can see it every time. Let's go ahead and look at our very first story problem. We're going to read it that one time, and when we read it, we're going to be thinking of the very first question. What is the problem about? All right, so let's go ahead and read through it. Lucas has 47 rocks in his collection. He gets 30 more rocks. How many rocks does Lucas have now? So, what is the problem about? I want you again, if somebody's around you, even if it's your stuffy or your puppy, your animal, or even if it's just yourself, go ahead and say out loud, what is the problem about? Right. So you should have said the problem about Lucas having a rock collection, right? Because that is what it's about. He has a rock collection. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read it the second time, and we're going to be thinking about the second question. What are you trying to find out? Let's go ahead and read it. Lucas has 47 rocks in his collection. He gets 34 more rocks. How many rocks does Lucas have now? What are you trying to find out? And I told you, we answer that question, we're actually looking at the question and the problem. And the question is, how many rocks does Lucas have now? So that's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out how many he has now. All right, so now, third time through, what information is important? You ready? Lucas has 47 rocks in his collection. He gets 34 more rocks. How many rocks does Lucas have now? So, our third question again is, what information is important? I want you to take this time and think about it. Talk to somebody next to you, dog, stuffy, yourself. What information do you think is important? And do you think we're going to be adding or subtracting? And how do you know? Is there words in there that's telling you that you're going to be adding or subtracting? I'll give you some time to think about that. All right, so some information that's important is definitely that Lucas has 47 rocks in his collection, right? And that he gets 34 more rocks. I think that's really important that we know that he has 47 and he gets more, very important. So how many rocks does he have now? And I don't know if you're thinking this or you answer this question, but because they said he gets 34 more rocks, I'm thinking that means we're going to be adding. All right, so let's get started. I want you to use your tens and ones and go ahead and solve the problem for 47 and 34 adding. So you're adding 47 and 34 together using your tens and one sticks. Go ahead and solve that problem. I'm going to give you some time, and then I'm going to jump in and show you how I did it. All right, so you can probably still be working on the problem. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump in because of time. We're going to go ahead and work through this. So first thing first is we find the bigger number, and that will be 47, and we are going to go ahead and build 47. I'm going to look at the ones. How many ones do we have? 7. So I'm going to put 7 ones, 2, 4, 6. I'm going to add that one more for 7. And then we have 4 10s. Go ahead and put 4 10s right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and build 34. We have 4 1s. And then we're going to have 3 10s. All right. So you should have started with something that kind of looks like this. All right. So now what we have is we're going to go ahead and add. So first, we're going to go ahead and add our our ones. So we're going to bring those on over. And just by looking at them, I have a feeling we might be more than 10. So I was going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I was right. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a 10 stick and I'm going to replace these 10s. Or I'm sorry, these ones with the 10 stick. And then I'm going to slide those over and slide this on over. All right. Pretty easy. We had to regroup, right? Because we had 10 or more ones. So we made a 10 stick. And now we still have our ones left over. So let's go ahead and see how many 10 sticks we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go ahead and point and you're going to clap out. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 81. So that means that 47 plus 34 is going to equal 81. And just to go back and refresh, we had about 11 ones. So because we had a 10 in there, we replace 10 ones with a 10 stick, just like we talked about yesterday with regrouping. So again, 47 plus 34 equals 81. So to answer our question, Lucas has 81 rocks now. All right, let's go ahead and look at our next one. We did our addition, we added. So now let's see what we're going to do next. All right. I ran out of room when I was writing, so I had to add a little strip. So let's go ahead and get ready to read this. But before we do, we're thinking about the very first question. What is the problem about? All right, ready? After school, 85 students go home. Some of the students go home on a bus, but 26 students do not go home on a bus. How many students go home on a bus? All right, so what is the problem about? Go ahead and talk to your stuffy or your person next to you and just say it real fast. Correct. It's about students going home and students going home on a bus, right? All right, so now let's read it again, and we're going to be thinking about our second question. What are you trying to find out? After school, 85 students go home. Some of the students go home on a bus, but 26 students do not go home on a bus. How many students go home on a bus? So, what are we trying to find out? Go ahead and do the same thing and talk to somebody next to you, or talk to your stuffy, or just say it out loud. Correct. We are trying to find out how many students go home on a bus. All right, we're going to read it our third time now. And this time we're thinking about what information is important. Ready? After school, 85 students go home. Some of the students go home on a bus, but 26 students do not go home on a bus. How many students go home on a bus? So, what information is important? I'm going to give you a second to think about it to yourself. Remember, you're thinking of the numbers, and if there's information on here to kind of tell you if you're going to be adding or subtracting. All right, so important information that there's 85 students that go home. We know 85 students go home. We know that 26 students go home on a bus. But we want to figure out how many students go home on a bus altogether. Well, it's tricky because we're set up here after school, 85 students go home. So we know that all together, 85 students go home. And we know that 26 go home on a bus, do not go home on a bus. But we're trying to figure out how many go home on a bus. So how does that look in an equation? Well, if we know that 85 go home all together, we know that that's at the end. What we know is that 26 do not go on a bus. What we don't know is how many do go on a bus. So again, we know 26 do not go home on a bus. We don't know how many go on a bus, but we know that 85 students go home altogether. So we have to solve for this missing number. And how we're going to do that? Are we going to be adding or subtracting? What do you think? We are definitely going to be subtracting. We can't add these two together because then we're going to get a whole new total. So we have to find this missing number. In order to find the missing number, we have to subtract this from 85. So let's go ahead and get our 10 sticks together for that. Ready? So let's go ahead and create 85. So we have 5 ones. There's my 5 ones. And we have 8 10 sticks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And remember, you can be drawing this with me as I'm creating. All right, now let's look at 26. We have 6 ones, 3, 3 makes 6. I need to add 110 and 1 more. All right, so we have 26 and 85, and we are taking away. Now, we talked about this last time. I have 6 and I have, well, I have 5 here and I have 6. I can't take 6 away from 5 because 6 is bigger. So what am I going to do? Right, so I'm going to take this 10. I'm going to take a 10 from my 85. And I'm going to replace it with ones, but still 10 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if there's still 10, they're just ones now. And that's so that I can take 5 away because I can't take, that's so I can take 6 away because I can't take 6 away from 5. It's impossible. So I took a 10, I replaced it with 10 ones, and now I can take 6 away. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you're doing this with me on your paper. All right, so I took my ones away. Now what do I do next? Go ahead and do it on your paper. So I should have took my 10s away. So I replace them and I take them. You'd probably be crossing them out. I took 2 more 10s away. And this is what I have left. So let's go ahead and add them, or let's go ahead and count it out. Ready? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10s. I'm going to point and you're going to clap. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. So that means that we had 59 students go home on a bus. And that is our missing number. So 26 plus 59 is going to equal that 85. All right, friends. I know that's a little bit more tricky, but we are going to get that regrouping down. So awesome job and continue the hard work. Can't wait to see you again.
Hola, les saluda Mrs. Mares y hoy vamos a continuar con nuestras actividades de matemáticas. Tus materiales, si ya los tienes listos, muy bien, sabes que vamos a ocupar un lápiz y vamos a ocupar papel si tienes cualquier tipo de papel. Si no tienes lápiz, puedes usar un marcador, un bolígrafo, un lapicero, lo que tengas a la mano. El día de hoy vamos a seguir con nuestras sumas y nuestras restas hasta 100. Hemos estado aprendiendo diferentes estrategias, pero el día de hoy vamos a leer una historia y vamos a ver si podemos resolver esa historia. Así que acompáñame, vamos a comenzar nuestra lección y alista tus materiales. Nuestro objetivo el día de hoy es: podré sumar y restar hasta 100 contestando una historia de matemática. Hoy vamos a leer 2 historias de matemáticas. Vamos a hacer una suma y una resta y vamos a poner en práctica lo que hemos aprendido toda esta semana. Vamos a usar nuestros dibujos de decenas y centenas. Podemos también usar nuestra forma de expandir los números y vamos a ver cuando respondamos esta historia de matemáticas si tenemos que reagrupar o no tenemos que reagrupar para esa historia. Antes de comenzar, vamos a pensar en 3 preguntas. Estas preguntas lo hicimos la vez pasada y pensamos en esas 3 preguntas mientras leíamos nuestra historia. Y quiero que hagas lo mismo esta vez. Cuando escuches una de estas preguntas o cuando sepas la respuesta de una de esas preguntas, puedes saltar, puedes poner tu mano en tu cabeza si quieres, puedes poner tus brazos juntos, pero lo que quiero que tengas en mente son esas 3 preguntas para así poder resolver nuestra historia. Nuestras preguntas el día de hoy es, número 1, ¿de qué se trata nuestro problema? ¿De qué es nuestro problema? ¿De qué estamos intentando de resolver? ¿Qué vamos a resolver en esta historia? ¿Por qué tenemos que resolver esta historia? Y la última pregunta, ¿qué información es importante? Es importante que sepamos esas 3 preguntas mientras leamos nuestra historia. Leamos nuestra primera historia. Blanca vende 59 banderas en un desfile. Le quedan 37 banderas al final. ¿Cuántas banderas tenía al principio del desfile? Ahora pensemos en esas 3 preguntas. Lo voy a leer una vez más. Blanca vende 59 banderas en un desfile. Le quedan 37 banderas. ¿Cuántas banderas tenía al principio del desfile? Nuestra primera pregunta era, ¿de qué se trata el problema? El problema es que Blanca vende banderas. Eso es lo que Blanca está haciendo en esta historia. Nuestra segunda pregunta, ¿qué estamos intentando de resolver? ¿Qué estamos intentando de resolver? Pon tu respuesta en tu mente. ¿Qué estamos intentando de resolver? ¿Qué quiero resolver? ¿Cuál es mi pregunta aquí? Dice, ¿cuántas banderas tenía al principio? Esto es algo muy importante. Al principio del desfile. ¿Cuántas banderas tenía al principio del desfile? Pregunta número 3. ¿Qué información es importante? Ahora tenemos que ver qué información es importante. ¿Qué información piensas tú que es importante? Blanca vende 59 banderas en un desfile. Le quedan 37 banderas. ¿Qué será importante en esta historia? Podemos decir que ella vende 59 en un desfile. Ella las vende y le quedaron 37 banderas. Ahora pensemos, si sabemos que 59 y 37 son los números que necesitamos, ¿los vamos a sumar o los vamos a restar? La pregunta es, ¿cuántas banderas tenía al principio? ¿59 menos o 59 más 37? ¿Cuántas banderas tenía al principio? Estos 2 números los vamos a sumar porque necesitamos saber cuántas banderas tenía Blanca al principio. Entonces tenemos 59, que son las que ella vendió. Ella vendió esas banderas. Le quedaron todavía 37. Le quedaron 37 banderas. Entonces tenemos que saber cuántas tenía antes de comenzar su venta. Ahora vamos a dibujar como lo aprendimos el lunes y lo repasamos el miércoles. Vamos a dibujar nuestras decenas y nuestras unidades. Así que dibujemos. ¿Cuántas decenas necesitamos para 59? ¿Cuántas decenas necesitamos para 59? Necesito 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decenas. Entonces voy a dibujar 5 decenas. ¿Cuántas unidades necesito en 59? Necesito 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Necesito 9 unidades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ahora le tengo que sumar 37. ¿Cuántas decenas tiene 37? ¿Cuántas decenas tiene 37? Pensemos. ¿Cuántas decenas tiene 37? Tiene 3 decenas. 1, 2, 3. ¿Y cuántas unidades tiene 37? ¿Cuántas unidades? Tiene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unidades. Necesitamos 7 unidades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ahora que tenemos esas unidades, puedo ver que tengo más de 10 en mis unidades. Eso quiere decir que puedo intercambiar 10 de unidades por un 10. Así que hagamos un círculo y contemos 10. So, aquí tengo 9. Le voy a agregar una más para hacer un 10. Ahora tengo que agregar un 10 más. Así que agreguémoslo y contemos. Aquí tengo 5 grupos de 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Agrego uno más, 6. Y le tengo que sumar las 3 decenas de 37. 1, 2, 3. Ahora agreguemos nuestras unidades. Este ya no lo vamos a contar, ni esta las vamos a contar porque hicieron un 10. Así que vamos a contar las que nos quedan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ahora contemos todos juntos. Acuérdate, si quieres saltar, si quieres hacer tu mano en tu cabeza cada vez que contemos a 10, lo puedes hacer. Así que listo, vamos a contar. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. Tengo 9 decenas y 6 unidades. Entonces, regresemos a nuestra pregunta. ¿Cuántas banderas tenía al principio del desfile? ¿Cuántas banderas tenía Blanca al principio del desfile? Ella tenía, ¿cuál es nuestro número? 96. Ella tenía 96 banderas que tenía que vender. Muy bien. Ahora vamos a contestar otra historia. Acuérdate que estamos viendo las 3 preguntas. ¿De qué se trata el problema? Si sabes la respuesta a esa pregunta, pon tu mano en tu cabeza. ¿Qué estamos intentando de resolver? Pon tu mano en tu cabeza. ¿Y qué información es importante? Vamos a leer la historia y si encuentras unas de estas respuestas, mano en tu cabeza. La voy a leer. Cuando salen de la escuela, 86 estudiantes van a casa. Ya sé de qué se trata esta historia. Algunos se van en un autobús, pero 26 no se van en autobús. ¿Cuántos estudiantes se van en autobús? Ya sé que tengo que encontrar y ya sé también cuál información es importante. Leámoslo una vez más. Cuando salen de la escuela, 86 estudiantes van a su casa. Algunos se van en un autobús, pero 26 no se van en un autobús. ¿Cuántos estudiantes se van en autobús? Primera pregunta. ¿De qué se trata el problema? El problema se trata que cuando los estudiantes salen de la escuela, van a su casa y se van en un autobús, pero hay otros que no se van en un autobús. Entonces, necesitamos pensar, unos se van en un bus, en un autobús y otros no. Nuestra pregunta número 2, ¿de qué se trata o de qué estamos intentando de resolver? ¿Qué estamos intentando de resolver? ¿Cuál es nuestra pregunta? Siempre la tenemos al final. Dice, ¿cuántos estudiantes se van en autobús? Esa es nuestra pregunta. ¿Cuántos estudiantes se van en autobús? Ahora, nuestra pregunta número 3 es, ¿qué información es importante? Yo ya sé qué información es importante. Sabemos que 86 se van en un bus, o sabemos que, 86 estudiantes van a su casa. Dice algunos, no sabemos cuántos se van en bus, pero sabemos que 26 no se van en un autobús. Sabemos que 86 son el total. Sabemos que 26 no se van en autobús. Tenemos que averiguar cuántos sí se van en un autobús. Entonces pensemos, ¿necesitamos sumar o restar? Si sé que hay 86 estudiantes y sé que 26 de esos estudiantes no se van en autobús, ¿cuántos sí toman un bus para irse a su casa? Tenemos que restar. Así que vamos a restar juntos. Vamos a dibujar nuestras decenas y nuestras unidades. Para 86, ¿cuántas decenas tengo que dibujar primero? ¿Cuántas decenas? Son 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. ¿Cuántas unidades tengo en 86? Tengo 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Muy bien. ¿Cuántas decenas y unidades le tengo que quitar? Tengo que encontrar cuántos estudiantes se van en un bus. Entonces, primero voy a comenzar con mis unidades. ¿Cuántas unidades le tengo que quitar? Es este número. ¿Cuál es ese número? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No me quedan nada de unidades. Quité todas mis unidades. 6 menos 6, me quedan 0. ¿Cuántas decenas le tengo que quitar? 2. 1, 2. Ahora vamos a ver cuántas unidades y cuántas decenas nos quedan. Contemos juntos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Me quedan 6 decenas. ¿Y cuántas unidades me quedan? Me quedan 6 decenas. ¿Y cuántas unidades me quedan? Me quedan 0. Entonces, podemos contestar nuestra pregunta. ¿Cuántos estudiantes se van en un autobús? 60 estudiantes se van en autobús porque 26 no se fueron en autobús, quizás se fueron con sus padres o se fueron caminando, de 86 estudiantes. Ahora sabemos que podemos usar nuestras decenas y nuestras unidades para poder restar. Esta semana hemos aprendido cómo usar nuestras decenas, nuestras unidades, cómo expandir nuestro número para poder sumar y restar hasta 100. Ahora en tu casa quiero que practiques 2 números. Puedes escoger los números que tú quieras y puedes practicar la suma y la resta hasta 100. No vayas más de 100, hasta 100 usando los dibujos que hemos aprendido o puedes usar la forma de expansión. Gracias por estar conmigo esta semana y nos veremos la próxima semana para seguir practicando nuestras actividades y lecciones de matemáticas.